I want to go over this newly released interview with the mom, sister, and aunt of one of the 4 slain University of Idaho students, Kaylee Goncalves. In this interview that was released today, Monday, November 21st, we get a sense of the mother and the sister and her aunt's frustration with law enforcement, how news is breaking, the fact that their timelines don't match up, and just what a great job Kaylee's sister is doing to tighten up the timeline. I've watched it twice already, and now I want to watch it with you and react. You will see, even from the beginning of the interview, even the frustration of the text trying to get the aunt's audio correct. It makes Kaylee's mom admonish her daughter, Olivia, right next to her. She'll say they got to get it right, don't get mad. She's telling her kind of like, look, just calm down.
Yeah. My name is Christy Goncalves, Kristi Goncalves.
Yeah, I'm Olivia Stevenson, ALIVEA STEVENSON. Gonzalez is my maiden name. I'm married.
My name is Tammy Butts, TAMIBUTTZ.
Good? You guys good? Everybody good?
No, on here.
Which one?
You because okay, well, I have to run it over here.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
You gotta get it right, don't get mad.
I see why they're mad, and I see what a great job Olivia is doing with the timeline. They're going to talk about Kaylee's ex, Jack, and how they don't think he had anything to do with these crimes. Olivia's timeline seems more accurate to me based on my calculations from the time in the Grub Truckers video. Olivia believes her sister arrived home with Maddie at 1:56 a.m., not 1:45 a.m., and that precisely lines up with what I see in the Grub Truckers video. I have adjusted and updated my timeline just a little bit, and it aligns perfectly with Kaylee's sister. At one point, Kaylee's sister is going to ask, it could make a difference, these minutes of timeline that the cops are putting out there that could be off. Of course, in true crime, every timeline matters. It matters exactly when people are trying to check their video timestamps for certain activities. At 4 hours and 8 minutes into the Grub Truckers video, they say the time is 2:06 a.m. So they're kind of complaining and they're bemoaning the fact. One guy says it feels like it's 2:20, but it's actually 2:06 a.m. That's how I know it's exactly almost a 2-hour difference. That means when Madison and Kaylee came on the screen at 3 hours and 43 minutes into the video, it's really around 1:43 a.m. To be more precise, it's 1:41 a.m. They were only there for 10 minutes. At 3 hours, 53 minutes, and 30 seconds into the video, the girls leave, which is about 1:53 a.m. their time, or more precisely, 1:51 a.m. So, from 1:41 a.m. to 1:51 a.m., the girls are at the Grub Truckers food truck. They're gone by 1:51 a.m. It only takes 5 minutes to get home. Per Kaylee's sister, she arrived home at 1:56 a.m.
Oh, which 206.
I think we got it on the pickup. Good? Okay, so just first off, the map that just came out from police, it gives a little bit of a timeline of where they may have been that night. Does that map mesh up with the timeline that you've been putting together?
Yeah, I'd say it's very close. I'd say if you have any closer details to kind of hone in, 1:45 could be very vague. Maybe it's closer to, 1:50. Let us know if you have anything concrete, because right now concrete's what we can go off of.
In terms of the details, you said it's close. Mm-hmm. Does that frustrate you that it's close?
I do, but right now we're still trusting authorities that, it's not going to be 20 minutes here or 15 minutes here that's breaking this. But yeah, I implore everyone, if they know something different, bring it to the police, because if they want to tighten up that timeline, we stand with that.
It seems like there's this very big gap when it comes to Ethan and Xana. Do you know where they might have been?
I don't, unfortunately. I know nothing about them.
We have no idea where they were, but we do have a pretty tight timeline on Kaylee and Maddie, and it is close to what they are posting, but it is a difference, and that difference actually could be huge. I mean, it could be, it could not be. But 145, 159. So there is, and we have corroborated with my phone records, Kaylee's phone records, the driver that was driving them around.
Yeah, so you
really
have,
concrete.
You have pulled video seeing the Uber driver dropping them off.
Yes.
You've checked your phone records. You know with
Yes.
timestamps what
Yes.
time they got home.
Yeah.
It's not exactly what police are saying, right?
Right.
It's not 145.
Kaylee and Maddie were picked up from their home at 1122 King around 10:15. It's about a 5-minute drive down. So they arrived to Corner Club around 10:20, which is different than what was released at 10. We know that Kaylee called for an Uber at 1:45. He arrived at 1:49, got in the car around 1:50. It's about a 5-6 minute drive. They arrived home at 1:56.
She'll talk about the phone calls and everything too that Kaylee made to her ex-boyfriend Jack. So those are some pretty exact timelines. They were able to pull footage, video. Maybe, I don't know if 1122 King Road has footage. Somehow they were able to get, and they're calling it an Uber driver. I don't know why cops are calling it a private party. Was it a friend of theirs who's an Uber driver? I don't know what's going on, but they have some exact timelines of when the girls were picked up from their home, when they went to the club. We know we have the Grub Truckers video footage, food truck video footage. We have those timestamps. It's lining up right now with Kaylee and Maddie arriving home at 1:56 a.m. And so I'm glad they were able to pull the footage. Sometimes family members might be able to get, the footage faster. She's going to talk about how Kaylee shares a phone account with her mom. So that's why she was able to see all these calls they were making. And the timeline is important if cops want to be general at first. I understand. Cops can keep things general. I understand. Saying all 4 of them arrived home at 1:45. Well, I knew that was wrong because I knew the girls were likely still at the food truck at 1:45 a.m. And it is essential when you're asking people to look out and grab their Ring doorbell footage or any footage or what time. We need exact timestamps, and I'm glad Kaylee's sister and mom and aunt are able to get more exact times.
Is it frustrating that your timeline is based on timestamps from videos and phone records, and their timeline doesn't exactly match yours?
I just feel like there's a reason they're just putting it out, the estimate. I don't know, because they do have that information from us, and they've asked us where we have gotten that information, and we have concrete backing. She put it together.
It could be conflicting stories. We just don't know. This is the information that I stand behind.
I think that when they say 1:45, I think they're kind of referring to the whole group arriving approximately 1:45. I believe that maybe Ethan and Xana, and I don't know, may have gotten home around that time. And then the girls, obviously 1:59-ish is shortly after. So they're just kind of grouping that the group arrived home around 1:45-ish. But they were not together. And we don't know anything about Ethan and Xana. We do know about Kaylee and Maddie.
And some of the time stamping afterwards, that your sister was making calls, right? She was making calls as late as almost 2 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
So she was on my mom's cell plan. So
We pulled my cell plan.
on Sunday, I was able to pull those cell records.
And you could see that she was calling somebody out.
Yeah.
Does it seem like they may have been involved, or does it seem like
No.
they...
No, not at all. Kaylee had no shame in kind of power calling. So it fits Kaylee.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And we know who she was calling, and this person is, and this person was asleep, unfortunately, was not getting the calls. And it was, I don't know, a few calls for half an hour. She called him a couple times, but no, it was not, we do not believe she was calling him for help. We believe that she was just calling him to come over. If Kaylee was in imminent danger, her or Maddie, they would have called 911. They would not have been calling this person.
Yeah.
This is the point where they're speaking, obviously, his name was released by the New York Times. They're speaking about Jack DeCour, Kaylee's ex-boyfriend. So they believe Kaylee was not calling Jack desperately for help, but they think it was just part of her regular routine, a power caller, call. She would call people back to back. Unfortunately, Jack was asleep. I don't know where he was. I know he's a University of Idaho student, but I don't know where he lives or anything. So unfortunately, Jack was asleep. Later, Kaylee's parents would give a different phone interview where they stand behind Jack 1,000%, 2,000%. He would never do this, even though Kaylee and Jack were on a break. And it was Kaylee. Her mom was calling Kaylee a brat. She thinks Kaylee was just being a little bit of a brat saying, "Oh, I need a break, I need a break." She wholeheartedly believed that Kaylee was just trying to do her own thing, but eventually her and Jack would get back together. Her mom believed that Kaylee and Jack would end up getting married. So they don't believe Jack had anything to do with anything. So this is why they're keeping his name under wraps in this interview, which must have been from November 18th, because you will hear the interviewer at one point say it's been 5 days. But what you will sense is their growing frustration with law enforcement, some kind of investigative mistake they're going to allude to without getting into details, and just trying to still play it calm. Even Kaylee's sister's frustration with the news and how the news is breaking the stories. Some reporters are kind enough to give her a heads up on certain breaking news. The reporter will ask about the location of different victims, but at this point they're going to say, "We know just as much as the public knows." With them knowing just as much as the public knows, that is very frustrating, I can only imagine. Because yesterday, if you did not see that press conference, oh boy, how confusing. How confusing. They were pretty much asked directly if Jack, the ex-boyfriend, whom Maddie and Kaylee both called during that critical hour prior to the crime, if he's been cleared. And the chief kind of danced around that question and talked about, I literally called it clear as mud. Has Jack DeCoeur been ruled out as a suspect? Chief James Fry said, everything that we have taken from those calls we've followed up on and we've cleared, and we believe there's no connection there. So while police were pretty adamant about coming out and saying, white hoodie guy at the food truck had nothing to do with this, we believe the roommates that survived had nothing to do with this, we believe the 911 caller had nothing to do with this. They were pretty adamant about clearing certain folks, but not directly and expressly clearing Jack. Which I appreciate them clearing everyone they can so folks won't bother them or treat them as suspicious. After that press conference, they came out with another confusing update. And that update was that at 11:58 a.m., this is the day that they were taken off this earth and discovered, a 911 call requested aid for an unconscious person. The call originated from inside the residence on one of the surviving roommates' cell phone. Multiple people talked with the 911 dispatcher before a Moscow police officer arrived at the location. The weird part was the release also said detectives are releasing that on the morning of November 13th, the surviving roommates summoned friends to the residence because they believed one of the second-floor victims had passed out and was not waking up. If this were a helter-skelter type horrible Sharon Tate type of scene, as police have described it, how could the surviving roommates summon friends to the residence because they believed one of the second-floor victims had just passed out and was not waking up? Was it because they didn't see? Were the victims still in their rooms? Were they banging on their door? Were they trying to FaceTime their friends, their roommates? And is that why they didn't believe they were waking up? If cops could be a little bit more explicitly clear without giving up what they need to keep the investigation safe, I think that would help, especially this grieving family. And they will go on to give us a little bit more insight about the layout, about where you can enter, about the code to the door, about access and more.
And that was at around 2.
Yes, so at that time we
Started
believed
around 2:30.
Yeah, we believe that the girls were just fine.
So from those phone records, it looks like the girls may have been alive around 2:30ish.
2:30 is what, the last call?
No, the last call is shortly before 3 a.m.
Sure, yeah, that's right, 2:50 something.
2:52 for both of them.
Yeah.
If that last call to Jack, and that was the last activity for both girls, Kaylee and Maddie, on their phones was at 2:52 a.m., and police believe these crimes happened between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. This is one reason people think maybe the girls weren't asleep when it happened. Even though there's been conflicting information also, too, I believe from the coroner, where we don't know if every single person was in bed, was every single victim in their bed, was every single victim asleep when they were attacked. At least one had defensive wounds, according to Zaina's father. So it's kind of hard to know where every victim was. And it is possible, of course, if the girls were tired, a little inebriated, if they're calling, Jack doesn't pick up. Sure, they could have passed out by 3:30 a.m. or so, or 3:15, or even quicker, who knows, and been awakened horribly. But we just won't know that detail yet until it's released.
It's now been 5 days.
Right.
And still no killer, still no motive. How are you guys holding up?
Yeah, I think it's different for everyone. They obviously are, the same people to us, but they were different to all of us. To my mom, it was a daughter. To my aunt, they were nieces. To me, they were sisters. And we all had different, very complex and amazing relationships with both of them. So it's going to feel different.
Empty.
Yeah, for all of
was
us.
just home. She just left on Friday. She left on Friday morning to go to a Pi-Fi party, and she had just bought a brand new Range Rover, and she contemplated all day long back and forth whether she should go home, and because she just really wanted to show it to Maddie, and some other friends and whatnot. And she's just like, Mom, I'm gonna go to the Pi-Fi party, and Maddie's got to see this my new ride. And I'm like, for sure. It was nice.
Isn't that amazing that Kaylee's mom said she contemplated all day long whether or not she was going to go back home. She was going to this Pi-Fi party. It sounds spur of the moment. She bought this new Range Rover. It was really nice. She really wanted to show Maddie. And so who would know if this was indeed targeted, if this was a stalker, if Kaylee and Maddie were the intended targets, which we don't know, especially Kaylee. Who would know that Kaylee would even be in town? She was contemplating all day long, should I go or should I not? So by Friday, apparently, Kaylee must have made the decision to go back to U of I, 1122 King Road, the House of Horrors, and hang out, show off her Range Rover to her friends, Maddie and others. And by the early morning hours of Sunday, she would be gone. I kind of understand why Kaylee's mom is going to say, whoever did this, I think it's someone Kaylee knew. Now, it's just that mother's intuition, hopefully that Holy Spirit-led gut, but I agree with her mom. Her mom is thinking, maybe it wasn't some rando just driving through Moscow. And of course, that's a possibility, through Moscow. And of course, that's a possibility. It was something like family and friends weekend. There might have been all these extra people in town. But who would even know? Would someone just know, oh, that's a party house? Did they somehow get the code? Were they able to access the sliding glass door? Stranger things have happened, I know. I've seen people in college where guys will pull up in a car and stand on the car and climb up through the window. Stranger things have happened. People can get in houses, unfortunately. If this truly was targeted, how many people actually knew Kaylee was in town? And did they know by watching her social media, or did they speak with her personally? Or is it just some random person who could have targeted them? Is it related to that horrible story about what happened to the dog, which I don't even hardly want to read that story. They speak about a dog being really damaged, not necessarily far away. Previously, I believe weeks before, I believe this incident happened in October or so. Now that is a very strange incident where a dog was harmed in the local town. So could it be some sicko who was just kind of like a Dahmer, they move practicing from animals, unfortunately, to people. So if it is some strange, horrible, serial sicko in town doing that, that's one option. Or it could be a person, for whatever reason, had it out for one of the 4 victims. And were the other 2 spared because they were locked inside their rooms? Or people are wondering, were the victims, did the killers lock their doors so the other roommates couldn't get to them when they finally woke up the next day? So is that why the initial reports came in of an unconscious person? Were the roommates trying to get to Kaylee and Maddie and they wouldn't open their doors? And was Kaylee's dog in there? Was he barking up a storm? Was he even still in the house? Was he one of the dogs that reportedly had escaped and ended up in a pound that day? There are so many unanswered questions, and it's frustrating to read through the lines here of what Kaylee's family is going to say. They don't know what cops know, and I know cops can't tell them everything, but they just want a little bit more information to know what the heck is going on here.
It was really nice. She just bought it that day, all her own. And I talked to the girls on, she had a fun time on Friday night, both of the girls, and then both of the girls texted me on Saturday.
So you were talking to Saturday afternoon?
Yes, Saturday afternoon. They sent me pictures of themselves, and Kaylee called me around 2:30ish on Saturday afternoon. And then I was texting Kaylee just randomly on Sunday. And right about those, when I look back at my times that I was texting Kaylee, the police were swarming.
So Kaylee's mom said the girls had a fun time on Friday. I think it would be important to know, hopefully cops have released it and maybe I just missed it, but I don't know what the girls did Friday night. If it's on their socials or if anyone knows, it would be great to see what they did Friday night. Did they go to a club? Were there interactions with anyone? Was anyone staring at them? Was anyone angry with them? All these things are really important. And the timelines totally matter because by now we should have it complete as much as possible. Look, the girls were here and here on Friday night. If anyone has any video footage from wherever here on Friday night, because that could, of course, inform the crime too, not just what they did on Saturday night. I think there's a lot lacking and I don't blame them for being frustrated. Kaylee got her car, her new car. It sounds like her mom was saying she did it all on her own. That's what it sounds like her mom was trying to say. She was proud of her. She started to cry. They had a fun time Friday night. She was in contact with Kaylee Saturday afternoon. So it sounds like the last time, based on a different interview, her mom's going to say is she spoke with or either messaged. I'm not sure which ones were actual audio speaking or voicemail messages or texts, but around Saturday, November 12th, around 3 p.m. or so, is the last time her mom spoke with Kaylee. And it sounds like by Sunday, November 13th, once her mom looked back, around the time she was texting her, I'm assuming it was around noon or so, her mom was texting Kaylee, and she said that's the time the police were swarming.
So you were trying to get a hold of her on Sunday morning?
Yeah, just random talking.
Yeah.
Just, hey, what's going on? How did you guys do last night? We talked a lot. And she was supposed to be home on Tuesday. She said she'd be home on Tuesday.
We were talking a little bit earlier, but whoever did this is still out there.
Yes.
Do you have a message for them?
Turn yourself in. Stop all this. Let us mourn our children, and we can't when we know this person is out there. You know who did it. You know who you are. Just end it. The guilt has got to be just overwhelming. It's got to be sickening. Stop hiding. Stop running. Just turn yourself in. Just turn yourself in so we can move on. We can bury our girls. We could have a celebration of life for them. And continue to mourn and try the best to heal, start the healing process. But we can't with this person just running around out there. This person's dangerous. And we fear that this person will do this again.
Now that he's done it once, he can definitely do it again.
We have no idea why. None. There's no reason why anyone should have been targeted for any reason.
These were young, beautiful children that were starting their lives. And they were successful. And they were go-getters. And they were strong. There's absolutely no reason for jealousy or anything for someone to take for children's lives like this. Turn yourself in. You owe it to these mothers of these children, these fathers, these families. You're wrong. Turn yourself in.
As you can see, when most people speak about the perpetrator, they assume it's a he. And that might be the wrong assumption. A lot of us are assuming it because we think of the strength the person must have had to do this. But if it were a sneak attack, if most of the victims were asleep when it happened, maybe it's not a male, or maybe it's not a strong male. I think a lot of us are assuming. But look what happened in the Charlie Manson situation. Those Manson girls, did you ever think of them being the perpetrator? You know, true crime can be very crazy and shocking, and there can be some unexpected perpetrators that end up making the perp walk, ending up in mugshots, booking photos, and in court, people you wouldn't expect. They will reference he quite a bit, but they don't know who did it. And they speak about the guilt must be overwhelming the person. I hope it is. I hope the guilt is overwhelming that person so much that they do turn themselves in, that they do have a crisis of conscience, especially if it's a crime of passion, which they are going to reject. You will see they're rejecting that crime of passion label because they don't want it to give the perpetrator any sort of empathy or sympathy, like, oh, it was just a crime of passion because something went wrong and something happened, and they spur of the moment created this crazy atmosphere, and that's what ended up happening. But they're going to reject the crime of passion label. But part of me is wondering, is it a person with no conscience? Is it just some evil random person that lives in that town? I mean, look at Delphi, Indiana case. Or is it a person who was passing through and just no feelings of evil or compassion or anything? Was it the person who harmed that person's dog, or is it someone else?
You said something that I've never even thought of, which is, it's almost the worst nightmare, which is how do you bury your daughter knowing that they could possibly come?
It's going to be, the services for these girls will be huge, public. And to think that this person is sitting, there at the church, I can't.
You're worried that the killer might show up to their services.
Absolutely. Their candlelight vigils, all of that. It makes me sick that this person could be there, standing right behind us, waving a little candle. It's sickening. Absolutely sickening. We're sick. We're just sick. We just want it to end. It's a living nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a living nightmare.
Now, in terms of what police have been able to communicate to you, have they been more forthcoming? Are they communicating with you enough?
I think it's an ongoing investigation. I think at the end of the day, I'm not an investigator. Mm-hmm. Do I want more information? Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But we don't know if they have it.
Do I know that they have it, or do I know that they can give it to me? No. So, of course, I'm frustrated. But I can't necessarily point that finger direct.
Based on what you've seen so far, are you confident in their investigation?
I have to be. Right now, I have to be.
We're counting on it.
And I think that it's easy to sit back and say, oh, I would have done this, oh, I would have done that. But I don't know what they walked into. I don't know what they've done. Are there definitely some things that, I've heard that I wish I hadn't heard about the investigation so far? Absolutely. But
this is the part that makes you wonder, what has Kaylee's sister heard about the investigation that she wishes she hadn't heard? It sounds like some ineptitude. And at this point, Kaylee's mom, you can hear her chiming in and crying, and her mom will be more forthright with her frustration. I get it. I know this is Moscow. They haven't had this type of crime, of course, ever, but I believe there's been no case of a person being taken off the earth there in about 7 years. So of course they're going to be not as experienced as a New York City cop or an LA cop on these type of things. And even then, this would be a heinous, horrible, unexpected crime in a bigger city as well. Just 4 students all at the same time, apparently with some type of, it's like Marines usually use that type of knife. But I wonder what she's heard. Of course, I have a lot of sympathy for law enforcement. I can't imagine the scene they walked in on. And of course, they have to keep their cards close to their vest. I think sometimes different people are a little bit better at handling the press conferences. The press conference that happened yesterday, Sunday, November 20th, I called it a big nothing burger. We just got the same type of updates and we got some weird, confusing answers. We got one softball question that was wasted from some Idaho reporter asking the chief, do you have enough support? Like, do you have enough resources? Who cares? Why don't you ask him, do you have a suspect? Like, do you really know? Are you honing in on someone? And we know you can't give your cards, you can't display your hand, but are you honing in on someone or are you clueless? Take the help that you can get to pinpoint a time, just like looking up that Grub trucker's timestamp. I did that maybe the first night. Just do all that, put out the exact timelines and get it out there so people can really know exactly when the timelines are. And if they kind of know who it is already, that's fine, that's good, I applaud them. These kids need to know. Some of them feel safe enough and they want to go back to campus and be around their friends. Some of them don't want to go back at all. I do not blame them until the person's caught. I'm thinking about this case so much that I literally had a dream about it the other night. And my dream was saying, well, you can't go back to school until October 15th. Don't ask me why I had that date, but can you imagine if it took them almost another year to find out who did this? I don't blame them. Kaylee's mom is going to say, look, if this had happened to someone else and Kaylee and Maddie, were still alive, I would tell those girls, don't go back to campus. And I don't blame her because I would tell my kids the same thing. Just some person on the loose. We don't know if cops are about to arrest him or her or whoever it is, or are they absolutely clueless? So I don't blame students and parents, the ones that want to stay away from campus and just want more information. A lot of people say, oh, it's not our right to know all this stuff, but I especially don't blame the parents and the students at the University of Idaho and surrounding campuses, because like they say in this interview, it's almost like this person, if they had no feeling and they were able to do this to 4 people, these 4 beautiful, talented souls, will they do it again? They put the campus on lockdown, campus alert, shelter in place for an hour or so after the crime, and then they lifted it. But if they truly know it was truly targeted, and if it was really only targeting these 4 or one of these 4, maybe they can put people's mind at ease a little bit more by offering a little more info as to how they know that.
Right now, I am frustrated that I don't have more information, but I don't know if they have information that they can give me.
We don't know. My husband is in contact with them every day, the FBI, Moscow, Idaho State Police, and every day he just says, nothing, babe. And I'm like, nothing? And he's like, nothing. Just nothing. And I don't know if that's because they have nothing or because they're protecting the investigation. So, it's hard to be mad at them if, we just know they're protecting the investigation. But it would be nice if they said, we have something, we have a little lead or we have an idea. And it just gives you a little bit of hope, know? And
it is very hopeless right now, I guess, being left without that information.
Yeah, because you can't grieve, you can't feel safe.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And if Kaylee and Maddie were down there right now in this situation with somebody else, they would be home. Yeah. I would have told them, and they, I would have been, you girls need to get home now, like yesterday now. So to families. I mean, I think it's Thanksgiving weekend or is coming up, and most kids are coming home, but there's no way. And there's no way that I would send them back until this person is found. This person, it's an isolated, targeted, incident until it's not. Mm-hmm. Until this person was angry. This was not just, he got drunk at a party and shot up a party, which I'm not putting anything down to, people have lost loved ones that way. But this was a very
violent, targeted attack.
I agree. Violent, targeted attack. Based on what we've heard here about the crime scene, with there being potentially so much cast off substances, spatter, so much spilled that we see it leaking from the foundation outside the home, which I really believe could be the substance we think it is. That reminds me of the O.J. Simpson case, the Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman horrible tragedy where she was nearly decapitated, and that's personal. The way Kaylee's mom said this person was angry, she realizes this person was so angry. It's like they were sloppy, they created a mess, according to her, which means you would think there's trails of evidence everywhere. Hopefully that'll help cops solve this issue, this crime, a lot earlier. I don't think people expected it to take this long with such a horrible crime scene, but it does speak to, indeed, how angry the person was. So I can see where the crime of passion language came from, even though the family doesn't agree with that wording. I see where it came from, because when there's intense anger, you can't see a crime scene that turns out like this. Just like the O.J. Simpson case, where it became personal, where it wasn't just, a person's trying to rob someone. A person doesn't know the person. It's more like a vendetta. It's more like rage. It's more like a love-hate relationship. It's something beyond.
Hearing yesterday, hearing the coroner say that one person may have been killed in their sleep. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you had heard?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's hard, but I guess for us that kind of just indicates, premeditation, which we've been fighting since the beginning away from this term, crime of passion. I think that comes with a certain connotation that can lead to empathy, and we don't agree with that.
No.
So when you hear them say that someone was killed in their sleep, you think premeditation?
Absolutely. I think it's impossible not to.
And not one, 4. I mean, I don't know if all 4 of them were. We don't really have the details. But regardless, 4 people were stabbed to death.
And premeditation, I mean, like you said, it's
You
very
went into
different than
somebody's
crime.
house.
Went into
When
someone's
they
house with a
I'm
knife.
not saying, weeks lead up. I'm not saying months
Right.
lead up. It literally could have been 20 minutes. I don't know. But to
Somebody went in there.
this wasn't a fight that the girls had said something and offhand this occurred. They must have walked in on vulnerable sleeping
A coward.
kids.
Coward.
And so for what it's worth, I want to run as far from the term of crime of passion as possible, because I think it's weak and I think it allows him to hide. And I think it gives him an out that he doesn't deserve.
That he walked in and got mad and angry. They were all there together and something occurred and he got mad and, wielded his weapon or whatever. No, this person snuck somehow into the house, whether it was a door, an unlocked door or an unlocked window, but he was not invited and he came in with a weapon.
To
and
do
he killed
intentional harm.
With intention, intention to kill.
Intention to kill, exactly. Not even harm, to kill.
Yeah.
So Kaylee's family is looking at the time, the hour, the way the perpetrator committed this horrid act against these 4 people. They call him a coward, and they call it premeditated. Not like they've been planning it for weeks or whatever, but, like her sister said, maybe 20 minutes. Or did something happen Friday night or even Saturday night in the middle of the night? Was the perpetrator inebriated? Was the perpetrator on some crazy substances? But did they know at 3 a.m., like the witching hour or something, or whatever watch of the night it was, as the Bible calls it, 3 a.m., there's something about 3 a.m. You go in there, they waited especially knowing if it's another man or even a female, it could have been a female, if they knew especially Ethan would have been asleep. I don't know if they've been watching the house. Did they know? Did they wait and watch and see when all of the people arrived home? Did they know the house was kind of still at that point? People are wondering, was there music playing? You know, how come no one heard screams? We don't even know if there were any screams or how it was carried out. But did they do all this intentionally, knowing, okay, it's a sneak attack, like a thief in the night coming in, and that way you won't be face to face with someone full of energy and vigor usually. You might be able to sneak in on someone, Zaina and Ethan, passed out perhaps in their beds. Maybe Maddie and Kaylee were passed out. Was every single person in bed? We don't have these clear-cut answers. We don't even know how the person entered the house or how they left the house. But I know today, Monday, November 21st, detectives had expanded their crime scene search further into the parking lot, so they expanded it back there. And obviously they're just still looking. They look for tire tracks. They're looking for every single bit of evidence to catch this person.
And not just one, not two, not three,
Four.
One after another, after another, after another.
And again, that little detail about it shows like there's vulnerability, right? There is the idea that there may have been defensive wounds, but at least one person didn't see it coming.
Right.
As far as we know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know.
As far as we know.
Yeah.
According to what the coroner has said.
Right.
In terms of somebody getting into the house, they keep saying no sign of forced entry.
Right.
Do you think that this was somebody that was known to them?
I think that that's kind of an impossible question. I think it's a very popular house.
As a mother, I feel like they know him. I do. I've always felt that way. Nobody has told me that anyway.
Just
I just feel like,
yeah.
I mean, this is a college town. It's a small town. I feel the girls knew this person.
So while Kaylee's sister tries not to answer the reporter's question directly, I feel that's an impossible question. She said, you know, the mother, she's going with her gut feeling. She's like, this is a college town, small town. I feel like they knew him. She's just going to say that's her gut feeling, not that she has any evidence to prove this. And they don't really talk about Kaylee's alleged stalker in this interview. Perhaps they'll speak about it in other interviews, and I don't really know where the stalker talk came from. I'll try and research that more. But that would be interesting, because if Kaylee truly did have a stalker, it'd be good to hear her mom and sister's perspective, and especially her sisters, or even her mom, whoever she spoke the most with. You know how sometimes we tell our sisters more than we tell our moms, but if they knew, okay, this was indeed her stalker, or if she didn't know his identity, there was a weird guy hanging around, if any of that is true, that would be important to note. But her mom has a gut feeling. Her mom is going with her gut, which really makes sense. Her mom is saying, look, this person was angry. I feel like they knew them. Did Kaylee and Maddie know some guy? Was it as simple as some rejected guy? You know, was it some guy, some incel or something who had been rejected for a long time, and were Kaylee and Maddie the icing on the cake, the last straw? Was it just like, I won't be rejected anymore? Was it someone who had briefly met the girls, or did they know the girls? You know, the fact that Kaylee was almost out of there, she was just, I read she was planning to graduate, I believe, in December, so she was almost out of there. Her life was starting. She got her new Range Rover. She probably got a sign-on bonus with this new job. She was planning to start in February. She was planning to backpack through Europe. I'm not sure. I read alone. I don't know if Kaylee was planning to backpack through Europe with others, without her ex-boyfriend, or with other friends, or truly by herself. But she had plans. She was almost out of there. And that's what trips me out. A split-second decision. Like, let me just go back home to that infamous 1122 King Road house, show off my new Range Rover, It's almost like you're just saying goodbye to the college life. Was it someone who thought, this is my last chance to see Kaylee? That's why I'm so focused on Kaylee and Maddie. Maybe because we're hearing perhaps a little bit more about them. Maddie's family, I know, has chosen not to speak out, but they've given their blessing to Kaylee's family to speak out. So it's almost like Maddie and Kaylee, almost like we're close to sisters anyway. So it's almost like hearing from Maddie's family. But I haven't heard a ton about Ethan and Zaina. I have heard, interviews with Zaina's dad, and we've heard a bit about Ethan, but we're hearing so much about Kaylee and Maddie. I am wondering if they were the target. Was Kaylee specifically the target? Did she really have a stalker? Where had this person been stalking her? How long? How intensely? What were the signs? Did he leave notes? Did he text her? Was it a man? Did he show up at her house? We need more details. Hopefully the cops have all those details, but you can tell her mom has a gut feeling with someone the girls knew and they were angry. So that's starting to get a profile of who this person might be. With a weapon like a K-bar, were they an ex-military person or just someone fascinated with military? Now I have dug through some social media photos and I've seen one person with military jets and stuff on their social media account, but I won't call these people out because anyone could be fascinated with military jets. That doesn't mean they're responsible for this crime. But the longer this goes on and what they're saying, without saying it almost, about ineptitude or just secrecy in the investigation, it makes you a little worried for, will they be able to find this person? I truly, truly hope they will be able to find this person. So it'll bring the kids at least back to campus after they're caught with a little bit more sense of security.
But we don't know that.
Oh, yeah.
We absolutely don't know that.
We don't know that.
I just feel it in my heart that they knew the person. And I've always felt that way. I don't know why, but I've always said they knew him. Yeah. I just don't feel like this was like some rando just driving through Moscow, happened to stop by their house.
I will say they did have a keypad on their front door, and it was a very popular house. So I know for a fact that people who weren't necessarily roommates of the house did have that code. So no sign of forced entry doesn't necessarily mean that they were invited in. That's all I can say.
And the people that survived were on the first floor.
To our knowledge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then if they come in through the keypad, is it possible to bypass a room on the first floor and go up to the second floor and third floor?
Yes.
So that was important. The two surviving roommates, to their knowledge, were on that first level. And then the reporter asks, if the perpetrator came in through the first floor, is it possible to bypass rooms and go on up? And so she says yes. She knows the layout of the house. So it's not the type of house, obviously, where you walk in the first floor and you're walking into a master bedroom or something like that. Or there's obviously a first floor entrance where you can walk in, and apparently maybe bedrooms could be, we know it's 2 bedrooms on each level. If a person walked in the first level, which some people kind of call in the basement level, if someone walked in that level, it is possible to have to walk right past 2 closed bedroom doors and go straight up. Now, did that person do that? Did they walk in? Did they try the bedroom doors and were they locked? Why did they go past the survivors' bedrooms? Thank God they did, but why? Did they know I'm not focused on these other 2 girls? Is that why they walked on up to the second and third floor? And did they run into, if Maddie and or Kaylee were their targets, did they run into Ethan and did he try and stop them? And is that why were Ethan and Zaina once again just in the way? Or what? But we're getting a little more insight. Kaylee's sister kind of gives a look to her aunt right there, as far as we know, when she talks about the survivors being on the first floor. So I don't know if they're holding back more, but she will admit, look, if I did know more about this, I wouldn't even tell you. Obviously, they just want cops to tell them more, which I don't blame them. They want cops to give them facts as they get them, and they're going to appreciate the reporters that can break news to them first.
There's also a door in the back that just leads directly to the middle floor.
So there is a door in the back that leads directly to the middle floor. So there are different levels and different access points. And she did admit it's a popular house, as we know, a party house. There's a key code, and we don't know how many people had access to that key code, and we don't know what type it is. There are different key codes. You know, some people were saying, well, it wouldn't matter, everyone would know the key code, but different key codes can be given based on what type they have, like in the Mariah Wilson case. That house where she lost her life down in Austin, Texas, you can set up different key codes for different people. Now, we don't know if that's the same type of key code at 1122 King Road. It could just be one key code, and unfortunately, in a popular college town, a busy party house, who knows how many people had this key code, access code. That's one problem, but it can give us timestamps, hopefully entrances and exits. But these sliding glass doors, as you'll see, these sliding glass doors also could be a point of entry, because it's hard to know. I've read so much about this case, but it's hard to know what I've heard as a fact and what's a rumor. But allegedly, even though the girls, or the girls, 5 girls live there, even though they would lock up the house, I believe sometimes sliding glass doors may have been unlocked or left unlocked. And we still don't know what the chief meant by the door was open. Did he mean it was wide open, ajar? Or did he mean the front door? Did he mean a sliding glass door? Or did he just mean a door was unlocked? Language is very important when it comes to trying to solve cases, trying to understand cases. There's been so much confusion since this case began. People even confused when they said, oh, an unconscious person was reported on King Road. People thought, oh, somebody had passed out in the middle of the street when this case first broke, because they said on King Road when they meant unconscious person on 1122 King Road. They meant within the house. That's why language, timestamps, everything is severely important.
I don't want to put you guys through anymore. I think we're good.
One of our senior producers did have one question. We know it's been tough getting answers from police for everybody. Just what have police told you guys about the investigation, what they found, what's going on? And Gabi will.
Yeah, I think to answer that question, we know exactly what the public knows. We really don't have any further details. And unfortunately, if we did, I wouldn't give them to you guys.
Right.
Just
We
frankly,
wouldn't impede
we're not
the
ready for that.
investigation.
I would
But
never
honest
impede
to
this
God, we
investigation.
don't.
Yeah.
We don't.
The public needs to know is that there is someone out there that has violently killed 4 people, and that no matter who died first or second or last, they're gone, and we need to get this person now before it's too late for anybody else to suffer what we are suffering for the rest of our lives. He took their lives, but he took them from us. That will never change. We will never let Kaylee and Maddie's memory ever disappear, but that's all we have left, and that's not enough. Period. Done. There's your answer.
Yeah. There is no other information.
There is no other information to give.
And unfortunately, you guys will probably hear it first anyways.
Yeah,
before we
right.
do.
Yeah.
It's pretty true.
Things leak out there all the time. And we're like, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? We're
Yeah.
like, nope.
So
I called my
have been
husband. He's like, I haven't heard
grateful
that.
for, you know, the reporters and stuff that have reached out to me ahead of breaking these stories.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's only 20-minute heads up, it's nice to be able to process that information as a family first before reading it
Just
online.
blast it out there.
Yeah.
To everyone who has done that, I just wanted to say thank you. You know, I know that if it bleeds, it leads. I get this industry. I'm not stupid. But thank you to those who have done so respectfully and with empathy in their hearts.
Agreed.
Good. Thank you guys, and we'll do the same. I mean,
Of course. No, thank you.
So that was it. That reminded me of that song Dirty Laundry when she said that. But let's close with Revelation 11:15. Then the 7th angel sounded his trumpet, and there were loud voices in heaven saying, "The kingdom, dominion, rule of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Christ, and he will reign forever and ever." Reminded me of a Christmas song, and he shall reign forever and ever. And those are the times we look forward to, because after going through Revelation and reading through all these tribulations and woes and seventh seals, and it's just horrid to think about. I study cases like this. I often ask God, I'm like, are we in Revelation already? I don't know. I don't think so. As horrible as it is, but just crimes like this, just when love grows cold, I don't know what it is. But thankfully, we have another press conference coming November 23rd. I hope cops will continue to do the pressers and put out more info and put out information. I like that they're updating Facebook and they have the newsletter, they have the press releases, so we can get things in writing. They can be a little bit more clear, and they are asking for patience. So it's good that we're patient, that we can help them as much as we can. I mean, I hope that mention of 2:06 a.m. in the Grub Truckers video is helpful. Now, of course, we don't know what clock he was looking at and if his clock was fast or slow, but it gives us more of an exact timeline, and just them looking at the phone records, everything they're doing is helping. So I hope it all leads to the perpetrator so they can't harm anyone else. It sounds crazy, but explain why, even though nothing would justify it, but just explain why. Why would they do something so horrific if they can even explain it? And to get this person off the street, if it is a Dahmer type or a Charlie Manson type who didn't even commit any crimes necessarily himself, but he was more of a leader, a hypnotizer, and sending people off to commit his crimes. Is it that type of situation? Is it something ritualistic? Is it something, what is it? God only knows, but hopefully cops will get the break they need